Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're taking a deep dive into some recent news from Workday that's got everyone in the tech world talking. And frankly, it has implications for all of us, not just tech folks.
Definitely a big story with a lot to unpack.
Workday, as you know, is a major player in workforce management software. And their recent announcement about layoffs and this big push they're making into AI, it raises a lot of questions about the future of work.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten attention.
So we've got a whole stack of articles here to help us break it all down, see what's really going on and what it all might mean.
Sounds good. Let's dive in.
All right, so first things first. Workday is letting go of 1,750 employees.
Globally, yeah.
Globally, which is a pretty significant chunk, 8.5% of their workforce.
Big number.
And what makes this even more impactful is where a lot of those layoffs are happening. 617, to be exact, are right here at their headquarters in Pleasanton, California.
Right in their backyard.
So this isn't just some abstract global story. It's having a real local impact.
Oh.
Now, what's interesting is that Workday has been pretty stable compared to some of the other big tech companies that have been making headlines with all these layoffs.
Yeah, no, they were kind of holding out.
They were. So what's driving this sudden shift? Well, if you look at the news, it seems like the big culprit is AI, artificial intelligence.
That's the word on everyone's lips.
Workday CEO Carl Eschenbach said it himself. The layoffs are directly linked to the increasing demand for AI and its potential, as he sees it, to drive growth.
And that connection to AI, it's not just a Workday thing.
Exactly.
We're seeing other companies like Meta, Google, even Dropbox, they're all pointing to AI as a factor in their own recent layoff announcements.
It's like a trend, right?
It's definitely becoming a pattern we're seeing across the industry.
So, okay, AI seems to be the driving force here. But what does that actually mean for the future of work? Not just at Workday, but across the tech sector, beyond even for everyone. What kinds of jobs are we going to be seeing in demand?
That's the million-dollar question. And honestly, it's hard to predict with certainty, but one thing seems clear. As companies pour more resources into AI and automation, certain types of jobs are likely to be impacted.
Makes sense.
Think about roles involving repetitive tasks, customer service, data entry, even certain parts of software development.
The things AI can do.
Right. Those are the areas that could see a decline in demand.
But it's not just AI that's at play here, is it? Workday has also been talking a lot about increasing their profitability, and they've already been doing things to cut costs, like being more selective about who they hire.
Yeah, they've been tightening the belt a bit.
And they've even been using AI in their own call centers.
So in a way, they've already been experiencing the shift internally.
They have. So these layoffs, coupled with those existing cost-cutting measures, it kind of suggests that maybe there are some deeper concerns about the company's growth or the demand for their products.
Maybe some uncertainty about the future.
Exactly. And of course, we can't just gloss over the human side of all of this.
Right. There are real people affected by these decisions.
1,750 people are losing their jobs. That's a huge number. And for those 617 employees in Pleasanton, that's their life, their livelihood.
It's a tough situation for everyone involved.
It is.
Hell.
And while Workday is offering a severance package, a minimum of 12 weeks pay, more if you've been with the company longer.
Which is something, at least.
It is, but it doesn't erase the uncertainty and stress of suddenly being out of a job.
Of course not.
This whole situation brings up a really important question, and it's something we need to be talking about more as AI becomes more prevalent. What responsibility do companies have to their employees when they're adopting these technologies that could displace workers?
Yeah, it's a huge ethical dilemma.
How do we balance progress, technological advancement with the well-being of people?
It's a tough one. Companies obviously need to innovate to stay competitive, but they also have an obligation to their workforce.
It's a delicate balance.
It really is.
And here's where things get even more interesting. Despite the news of these layoffs, Workday's stock price actually went UP after the announcement.
Over 6%, it was a pretty significant jump.
It's almost counterintuitive. You announce you're letting go of a big chunk of your workforce, and the market responds positively.
It really shows you how investors are viewing this whole situation. They seem to be focused on the long game.
So they're basically saying short-term pain for long-term gain. They're betting that these cuts, however difficult, will lead to a stronger, more profitable Workday in the long run.
That seems to be the logic. They see AI as the future, and they're putting their money behind the companies that are embracing it.
But whether that gamble pays off, that's still an open question.
Absolutely. It's a high-stakes game.
It really is. It's like a high-stakes chess match playing out in real time. And speaking of strategic moves, Workday has said that they're going to continue to hire.
They are, but with a very specific focus.
Only in key strategic areas, which we can probably assume means jobs related to AI.
Seems like
And they're also planning to exit some of their office spaces.
downsizing the physical footprint.
So they're making some big changes, not just to their workforce, but to how and where they operate.
It's a total restructuring.
It is. So the big question is, what does all of this tell us about Workday's vision for the future? Are they going all in on AI? Are they moving towards a remote-first model? And what does it all mean for the future of work, not just within their company, but for the industry as a whole?
Those are the questions we'll be exploring as we dive deeper into this story. It's fascinating how Wall Street is reacting to all of this. I mean, even with the layoffs, Workday's stock price jumped over 6% after they made the announcement.
It is kind of a head-scratcher, isn't it? A company announces they are letting people go, and the stock goes up.
It really shows you the power of the AI narrative right now. Investors are looking past these layoffs, and they are seeing the long-term potential of AI. They think AI is going to drive growth and make Workday more profitable.
So they're basically saying short-term pain, long-term gain. They are willing to accept the job losses now because they think it will make Workday stronger in the future.
Exactly. And it's not just Workday. We are seeing this across the tech sector, companies investing in AI and getting rewarded for it, even if it means making tough decisions about their employees.
It really highlights how important AI is becoming for companies.
Absolutely. AI is changing everything.
But all of this focus on AI, it does make you wonder about what could go wrong.
Yeah, there are definitely risks. We can't just assume that AI is going to solve all our problems.
It's important to be aware of the potential downsides, too.
Absolutely. And to be fair to Workday, they aren't getting rid of all their employees. They've said they will continue hiring, but only in very specific areas.
Key strategic areas, they call them, which probably means AI-related jobs.
Most likely. So it's not just about cutting costs. It's about focusing on the skills they think will be most important in the future.
They're trying to build a workforce for the AI age.
Exactly. And that's a trend we're going to see more and more of. The skills that are in demand today might not be the ones companies need tomorrow.
It's a good reminder that we all need to be constantly learning and adapting. The tech world is changing so quickly, it's hard to keep up.
It is. And it's not just about technical skills either. It's about problem solving, critical thinking, being able to adapt to new situations. Those skills will always be valuable.
We've talked a lot about the big picture, but let's zoom in a bit on Workday specifically. They're laying off employees, investing in AI. They're even getting rid of some of their office spaces. It's a pretty major overhaul. What do you think all of this tells us about where Workday is headed?
I think it's pretty clear they are betting big on AI. They see it as the key to their future success. They think it's going to help them grow and stay competitive.
And it's not just a technology shift, it's a cultural one too. The way they work, the kind of people they hire, it's all going to look different.
It's a pretty bold move. It will be interesting to see if it pays off.
Do you think they'll be able to pull it off?
It's hard to say for sure, but I think they're making a statement with all of these changes. They're not just following the trends, they're trying to shape them.
It's a high-risk, high-reward strategy.
It is. And what they do could have a big impact on the rest of the tech industry. Companies are watching what Workday is doing, and they might follow their lead.
It's a pivotal moment for Workday, but also for the future of work in general.
I think you're right. What happens at Workday could have ripple effects for all of us.
It's a lot to think about. And it brings us back to the human side of all of this. It's easy to get caught up in the technology and the business side, but we can't forget that these changes have real impacts on people's lives.
Absolutely. People are losing their jobs. They are having to adapt to new ways of working. We need to be mindful of that.
We need to make sure that we're using technology to improve people's lives, not make them worse.
Exactly. Technology should be a tool to help us, not replace us.
It's a delicate balance.
It is, and it's a balance we need to get right, because the future of work, it's not just about technology, it's about people.
It's about creating a future where everyone can thrive.
That's the goal, and we all have a role to play in making that happen.
And bringing it back to Workday, they're not just laying off employees, they're also exiting certain office spaces.
That's right, and that could be a sign of a bigger shift in how they think about work itself.
So what do you think this tells us about their vision for the future of work? Are they embracing remote work as the new normal?
It's certainly possible. They might see this as a way to cut costs and create a more flexible work environment.
But there are downsides to remote work too. How do you maintain company culture when everyone is working from home? How do you make sure everyone feels connected?
Those are good questions, and there's no easy answer. Every company is different, and they need to find what works best for them.
It's a balancing act, but the fact that Workday is making these moves, it does suggest they see remote work as part of their future.
I think that's a fair assessment, and it's a trend we're seeing across industries. The traditional office model is being challenged.
It's a fascinating time to be watching all of this unfold. And it will be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Absolutely. The future of work is being written right now.
And we're all a part of it.
That's right. We all have a stake in this. So we've talked about the layoffs, the focus on AI, the stock market's reaction, even the shift towards remote work. But let's bring it back to the heart of what Workday does. Workforce management software. How does all of this connect to their core business?
Yeah, it's a good point. Workday made their name with software that helps companies manage their employees, everything from hiring and payroll to performance reviews and talent development. So where does AI fit into all of that?
That's where it gets really interesting. Workday seems to be betting that AI can fundamentally change how companies handle all of those HR tasks, those core functions. Imagine things like scheduling, payroll processing, even parts of performance evaluations being done by AI.
So instead of big HR departments with tons of people managing all those processes, companies could rely more on AI-powered software.
Exactly. And that could make Workday's software even more appealing to businesses. If they can successfully build AI into their platform and offer those enhanced features, it could be a real game changer for them.
But then what happens to all the people who currently DO those jobs? If AI is taking over the routine stuff, what does that mean for HR professionals and anyone else whose work might be affected by automation?
That's the big question, right? And not just for Workday, but for everyone. Some people argue that AI will create new types of jobs even as it replaces others. The focus might shift to roles that require more strategy, creativity, those human skills AI can't replicate. But there are definitely concerns about job displacement and the social impact of that.
It does feel like we're on the cusp of a major shift, and it's hard to know exactly what the outcome will be.
And that's why it's so important to have these conversations about AI, both the potential benefits and the risks. We need to think critically about how we use this technology to create a future that works for everyone.
It's easy to get caught up in the fear of AI taking over jobs, but we shouldn't ignore the potential good it could do. Think about it. AI could free us from all that boring, repetitive work and let people focus on more meaningful, more fulfilling things.
And it could make businesses more efficient, help them make better decisions. Imagine AI helping companies find the best talent, create personalized training programs, even make workplaces more equitable and inclusive. There's a lot of potential there.
It seems like finding the right balance is key. How do we harness AI's power while still recognizing the value of human skills and contributions?
That's the challenge, and it's going to require careful planning, thoughtful implementation, and a real focus on developing AI ethically and responsibly.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Workday and their AI-powered future, what are the big takeaways for our listeners? What should they be thinking about as they navigate their own careers in this changing landscape?
Well, first, it's clear that the tech world is changing rapidly, and AI is at the center of that change. This shift is creating both exciting opportunities and some tough challenges for workers at every level.
Second, Workday's strategy. The layoffs, the AI investments, the restructuring it gives us a glimpse into how some companies are adapting to these bigger trends. It highlights how AI can disrupt traditional ways of doing business and underscores the importance of staying flexible, learning new skills, and adapting to the new reality of the workforce.
And finally, it's important to remember that the future isn't set in stone. The choices we make today, both individually and as a society, will shape how AI is used and how it impacts our lives and our work. It's up to all of us to stay informed, participate in these conversations, and advocate for a future where technology makes the world a better, more equitable place for everyone.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into technology, the future of work, and everything in between. Hopefully this has given you some food for thought.
Absolutely. Stay curious out there.